Hi, I'm Paul Edwards, author of the Mourners Woods books, and first and foremost, a monster kid. Tonight I'm watching The Monster and the Girl from 1941. The Monster and the Girl has the distinction of being one of the few movies that completely changes genres halfway through. The first half of this movie is a gangster story in the film noir style. And it tells the tale of a young man who's trying to protect his sister, who has moved to the big city and become involved with gangsters. The young man is trying to protect his sister, and for his troubles, the gangsters frame him for a murder of one of their own that they were going to kill anyway. And the poor young man, who is not guilty, has to go to trial and is convicted, partly thanks to a crooked prosecutor, and is sentenced to death. And tragically, nobody can stop this. Even the sister tries to beg with the gangsters themselves to somehow spare the guy's life, and they won't. In fact, the gangsters are sort of laughing at the guy and making fun of him. They're even in the courtroom laughing at him and smirking at him during his trial when he's being wrongly prosecuted. And the man is wrongly convicted and sentenced to death. And tragically, the young man is executed. Okay, so film noir, along with horror, is one of the few genres where a sad ending is considered acceptable. And sad endings are considered acceptable in horror, but there's a more important rule in horror, and that is bullies never, ever, ever fare well. So, and these gangsters basically are big bullies. So they're all going to get what's coming to them. So what happens is that before this young man was executed, he agreed, sort of on a whim, to donate his body to science for a crazy experiment performed by mad scientist George Zucco. And so George Zucco, the mad scientist, takes the executed innocent man's body from the prison and brings it to a lab and performs his operation. And his operation is that he wants to take the human brain out of the recently executed criminal and transplant it into a 500-pound gorilla. He thinks he's going to create a super intelligent gorilla. Instead, what he creates is an extremely ticked off, wrongly executed man who's now been given a new lease on life and now has been installed in the body of a 500-pound brute. The movie completely changes direction now. This is the halfway point of the film. As the ape monster breaks free from the lab pretty much immediately and goes about hunting down the gangsters who had sent him to his death. From here, the whole rest of the movie is now strictly a horror movie, as the monster tracks down the bad guys one by one and gives them the fitting end that they all deserve. Now, one thing that I'm not crazy about in this film is because they were so short for time, and I'll get to that in a minute, they actually had some of the deaths happen off camera. The crooked prosecutor is the first to go, and we only find out about his death from a news report. We're not shown it on camera. And for some of the other deaths, we're shown the monster approaching the bad guys, and then the camera will cut away when you know that the guy is being killed by the monster, and then they'll come back and show us that the gangster has been killed. Apparently, the idea of a giant ape crushing a human being was considered a little too grisly to put on screen in 1941. But for our era, it's just fine. So if they ever remade this film, I'd be all in on it. And when it comes to time, this movie barely passes the 1 hour mark. It's like 65 minutes. So This was actually kind of common back in the 40s. A lot of movies were really short like this, especially in the early 40s. So if they were to remake this film now, of course, they can't make any movie nowadays that's less than 2 hours. So if they were to remake it now, they could spend more time on the second half of the story, which is the monster getting its revenge on the people that wronged him. And if they remade the film now, I would be pretty convinced that it would go over well. The Monster and the Girl, it's filmed in the style of a film noir, but halfway through, it completely transforms into a horror movie. And it's a lesser known 1940s film. You know, just to compare, the same year this came out, The Wolfman starring Lon Chaney Jr. came out. Now, people still remember the film The Wolfman generations later. Hardly anyone remembers The Monster and the Girl, but it's absolutely worth checking out. Listen, if you're a fan of classic monsters and vintage horror, you'd enjoy my book series, the Mourners Woods books. I'm self-published on Amazon. I've written a series of novels that are all set in a haunted forest, all different characters and different monsters in each book. What they all have in common is the location, Mourners Woods. My name again is Paul Edwards. My books, the Mourners Woods books, are available on Amazon. Thanks for letting me talk to you about The Monster and the Girl. I'll see you in Mourners Woods.